What's going on, guys? It is season premiere week. All of the fall TV shows are coming back, including so many of our favorite superhero TV shows. We are living in a renaissance of superhero shows. There's great incarnations, there's interesting incarnations, and there's everything in between. We're gonna talk about those today with an esteemed panel. Let's meet him. First, he's an old friend of Screen Junkies. He's the host of DC All Access, Jason Inman. He's a friend of the show, he's been here several times now, and he is the critic at large for The Nerdist, Kyle Anderson. This young man is an actor and he's a performer at the UCB Theater and a nerd of the highest caliber, Jason Wayne Christian. We have a professional in the comic industry.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, we have a critic and we have someone who's a real fan.
Everyday guy.
Yeah. Guys, before we get started, I'd like to tell you that today's episode is sponsored by Retail Me Not, the best way to get thousands of coupons right at your fingertips on your phone. With Retail Me Not, you can get up to 60% off at great stores like Target and Best Buy, and some exclusive deals. Go ahead and text Screen Junkies to 42767 or click the link on the screen to get the free Retail Me Not app now. So guys, to kind of give this conversation some parameters, let's lay out the shows that we're mainly going to talk about today. Arrow, The Flash, Daredevil, Gotham, and Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Let's start things off with, what's one thing that's kind of disappointed us?
The thing that stands out the most to me about all these TV shows is Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. was introduced as the show that was set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. How much of the Marvel Cinematic Universe have we seen in that show? Barely anything.
Because they're so tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as soon as Captain America 2 did what it had to do, then they changed the show completely. And then in the second season, it changed completely to something else. It has no consistency.
Gotham, I don't even want to call a disappointment because of how terrible it is. So I'd actually would rather say I'm more disappointed with Arrow for how they've handled the third season. Now that they're trying to get all their movies going and they have Suicide Squad coming up, they're really being protective of markets that they think they're going to be able to do films about.
But I feel like they've already decided to diverge the two universes because they've already cast a Flash for the film universe.
Ezra Miller versus Grant Gustin.
Right. Probably won't have Superman on Arrow or Flash, and they probably won't have Batman. But besides that, I feel like they can do whatever.
The tone of Arrow. Does it get too soap opera-y at times?
In the first season, we watched it to drink and make fun of it. We watched it because it was awful, and he was just a murderer. But every episode, they would fix the problems that they had, not just by writing it, but within the context of the show. And it got better and better and better and better. And then I was unironically just a huge fan.
And one of the coolest things that Arrow does is it has so many comic book Easter eggs. This season on Arrow, he used the boxing glove arrow. That is like a comic book fan dream to see that in live action.
It pays homage and celebrates the comic book. I feel like that's one thing we lost in Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D.
Would we have enjoyed Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. much better if it starred Nick Fury? Samuel L. Jackson was a regular cast member, and it was Nick Fury, Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D.
If it was the same writing, I think it would have had the same problems. There just would have been a lot more sass and action in it. One thing that was fun, though, is they still got a lot of the Easter eggs in Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. as well. Not to the same extent that the DC television series do. And I think that's something that, again, that Gotham lacks. They ignore all of the fun of comics.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Gotham. I know there's so much disappointment surrounding this show. So what happened?
I feel like they didn't stick to the premise that they put forth. People don't care about Gotham without the villains, so they're bringing the villains in and making it like the villains are what creates Batman as opposed to the other way around, which is, I guess, fine, but that's not the direction that they set out initially. But so no, it just seems like, who else can we have in here? Like, you know, they've had the Scarecrow already, they've had someone who may or may not be the Joker, and, you know, the Penguin and Edward Nygma starting to go insane. And I was fine with the Penguin, makes perfect sense in all of the old crime, but like,
I can't help but assume it was based, or at least inspired by Gotham Central, which is an incredible Brubaker book. It takes a look at the Gotham Police Department during Batman's time. To me, that's a much more interesting premise, that you still don't need Batman to show up at all.
I think Gotham could become such a better show if it leaned away from the Batman and focused on Gordon. Because Jim Gordon's storyline is a story that we've only seen a couple of times.
Yeah.
And we've seen Batman's storyline. It was called Batman Begins. Just have him go off and train with ninjas and let us see Gordon's story.
Jim Gordon was my favorite character in Batman Year One. Like, he's a compelling, like, kick-ass dude.
I feel like with Arrow and Flash, the writers love their material and they know their material inside and out. With Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D., the writers know their material and are incredibly well researched and meticulous. And with Gotham, the writers heard about Batman once from someone drunk in a bar.
Well, that about sums it up. Thanks for watching. Well put, well put. With that in mind, the key to Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. is maybe a little less procedural, and the key to Gotham, a little more procedural.
And a little bit more passion from the writers in both projects, but yeah.
And that energy and love is something that we see in the superhero show that we haven't talked about yet, which is the best superhero show on television, The Flash.
Yeah.
That show introduced time travel, a multiverse, and a talking gorilla, and it was all cool.
Seeing a realized and satisfying Gorilla Grodd. Pretty cool.
And I think the most amazing thing about that show is that they allowed themselves to have fun with the format. And because The Flash is a fun character, it's the only one of these shows that we're talking about today that's actually kind of fun and upbeat.
Yeah, I mean, I love Daredevil. Daredevil, not fun.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Not a fun show.
It gives great service to the comics. What else do we like about it as far as the writing and the way the hero is portrayed?
With very few notable exceptions, they know don't kill off your villains. Keep them around, let them continue to do things, give them their full arc.
We love the villains.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that made Daredevil so cool. Wilson Fisk's character, Kingpin, I mean, how great was he?
Yeah, I cared little to nothing about the Kingpin character in the comics at all. And then watching Vincent D'Onofrio's performance, I was like, okay, I actually give a damn about the Kingpin now.
Yeah. What else did we like from this show that we hadn't seen before?
I liked the rated R-ness. I mean, the Marvel Universe has been around, the cinematic universe has been around since like 2008 now. We're getting close to the 10-year mark. And I feel that an R-rated Daredevil was the kick in the pants that it needed. I want more of that Marvel Universe. That first season of Daredevil is basically Man Without Fear, that famous Frank Miller story, and it has so many winks and nods to the comic books.
Gentlemen, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I'm going to ask you to rank these 5 shows.
Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D., Arrow, and then it's really tough. I'm going to go ahead and... I mean, just for me personally, I'll put Daredevil and then I'll say Flash, just because how much fun.
Gotham.
I'm not putting it on the list.
Wow.
Really don't care.
Whoa.
Really don't care for Gotham.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Gotham.
Okay.
And then Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D., because I stopped watching both of those shows. And then Arrow, but could possibly move up. Daredevil, and then for me, The Flash is number 1.
My list is exactly the same as his.
Because
we're best friends.
Yeah, that's true.
Best friends.
That's what's
superhero
gonna
friends. Okay.
With the exception of Gotham, mine was the exact same as well. So.
Oh, we're all
Yeah.
come here.
Look at you.
It's a
Oh,
group
what a
list.
love
Come
fest.
here.
You know what? This list is definitive. How would you rank them? Let us know in the comments section below. The best list with an explanation of how you arrived at those thoughts, we're going to send you a Screen Junkies t-shirt. I want to thank this delightful panel of gentlemen, Jason Inman, Kyle Anderson, Jason Wayne Christian. Thanks for the fun talk. Once again, I want to thank our sponsor, Retail Me Not. Text Screen Junkies to 42767 or click the link on the screen to download the free app to get awesome deals to great stores right on your phone. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.
Like, do a real Superman movie.
Yeah,
where
and-
Clark is at work and he has to and like.
Also, that would be pretty cool because we haven't seen those characters on film before.
We haven't even seen Brainiac.